our former president of the country.
Uganda keep guiding us, and in this press conference,
ranking because one city is better.
The worst they want.
My brother Sadat, myself, witnessed the high-handedness of the military. So we know and we witnessed. That aside, I will invite the Honorable Alice Ashanot, who happened to be our candidate in that by-election. And she's also going to highlight more on the trend of the week, the iron sheet scandal, where some ministers happen to say that they don't know how the iron sheets even found themselves in their homes. You now re-roofed the goat houses. That it seems those iron sheets have a problem. Not so taking Ugandans for granted at the cost of the Ugandan who is in Karamoja, who would be the beneficiary. So at this juncture, let's hear the voice of our acting national coordinator about the iron sheet scandal to us. Thank you very much.
I have witnessed in other areas. Two things stand out. One just cannot manage it anymore. The process has been taken over, I think, by fraudsters, and the Electoral Commission has surrendered completely. So if you have your money, good chunks of money, then you back. Two, if you are backed by goons, backed by the army, backed by all manner of functionaries, then you violently get yourself elected. Now we found ourselves as a team sandwiched. I think we were the external environment, but as has been said by my colleagues, we are happy that we participated because the management of this nation further to the knowledge officer. Those are things that we can wake up and you still think you have polling agents and they are not anywhere in the polling station and they have signed DR forms by 10 o'clock. Those are some of the points where our press conference. You people in the media brought to the fore the scandal has to be placed within a certain context. This is not the first time. I might want to remember that Karamoja is not only the poorest region, and does not only have the 8 or 70% of the people of Karamoja live in extreme poverty. Now that is ironical. You sit on the wealthiest part of the country, but also the people are the poorest. Now that statistic of Karamoja is also an international statistic. Karamoja is one of the areas in the world which has the poorest people. So as ANT, we also want to bring in a historical perspective. This is not the first time people steal from Karamoja. Programs are put in place do otherwise. As early as 2000, was it 2003, was when there was the dam scandal. The dam scandal, and the person who presided over it was the Vice President of Uganda, to Vice President. We visited Karamoja where they said the dams had been dug. And we were told we were standing on the dam. And it was exactly like here. But billions of money had been stolen that they were giving Karamoja dams. We followed issues of food distribution in Karamoja, where they tell you government has bought food for the people of Karamoja, and then they take for them rotten beans, rotten food, which is not even fit to be eaten by, animals. But that's what, and we should also be reminded about the very life of the ordinary Karamojo, how they live as though they are animals. There is a sub-county called Rupa. In that sub-county, they have gazetted, if you want to enter there, the army must permit you. If you want to get out, you must be permitted, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of dehumanization of the ordinary person in Karamoja. So we would like to look at this as an overall leadership question. Where is the place of leadership in Karamoja? The Karimojong in this country vote the NRM government. They vote 99. In fact, it is criminal even to be among the 0.1% who vote otherwise. I'm telling you, you need to go to Karamoja on election day. By this time, 99% of the polling materials are finished that the Karimojong voted. So we are looking at people who, their leaders, the entire leadership. I don't think there are opposition MPs that come from Karamoja. If you know of anyone, please remind me. All of them are NRM. So why would the NRM government choose to continuously mistreat the people of Karamoja? Kampala are picked raw from Karamoja. The Karimojong children abandoned in trucks here in the streets of Kampala, thrown on trucks as if they are stones for building materials. When the wealth of their homeland is what is running those big cement factories in Kampala. So let's contextualize this. One, there is a very big leadership question. The MPs of Karamoja should not wait. They should tell their people what is happening, because they are helping the regime to cheat Karamoja. That is one. Two, if Parliament and the MPs still have anything to say, to roof the house, to roof the house of his cows. His cows are even more important than the human beings for whom the iron sheets were intended. And you, Parliament of Uganda, you still sit with that same minister and you call him honorable. Those are dishonorable things, very unhonorable. By now, all those, they should be reporting to the Committee of Discipline. Somebody had better become angry about this nation, because if we are not going to get angry, they clothed the word theft and they called it corruption. And we thought it was stylish, corruption. It even sounds nice, corruption. But the thieves are stealing in broad daylight. But they also sit there, and Parliament, you still call them honorable colleagues. You still give them the front bench. Come on, somebody should call these ministers to order. And lastly, to be honest, Karamoja is never safe until we deal with the interaction between the human beings in Karamoja and the resources in Karamoja. Only then shall Karamoja find peace. Only when the resource question in Karamoja is dealt with in favor of the people of Karamoja. Do they even get royalties? You pick their own, you lock them up, you do anything the way you want with those Karamoja, and you still think they matter? If that question is not addressed, and I don't think government is interested, we will deal with the symptoms of stolen iron sheets by, thieving ministers. After that one, what happened? They didn't do anything about the dams. Instead, the minister at that time was promoted to vice president. Even these ones, I see them getting promoted and cry beloved country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the senior leaders and the acting national coordinator for the remarks. At this time, those who need the Uganda version, hope we need to do the Uganda version now.
If there are any questions in English, we finish with that and then we go to Uganda.
Okay.
In case there are any questions.
So I will invite about 3 or 4 questions.
My name is David from Red Basin. And my question is about this just because I think this a message that should not be by you and opposition members. Because if you look at the two parties that have been said has been dominated by nationalism in particular. But FNC was there, ANT was there, and their leaders, national leaders. For FNC, the president comes from there, and then the acting national. Neither did the NRM win. And you were talking about, Honorable Sidi was talking about how government needs security agencies and paramilitary manipulate that kind of stuff. You would favor of independent who won. So to me, I think there's something that we need to address you as opposition in that area. Don't you think it's the time for you to sit and rethink about that?
It would be helpful if we got like investigative journalists, if they were to go down, for example, in the areas where we've had the last 4 or 5 by-elections, and do interviews of the populations themselves on the ground. Because when we say whatever we say, we do our own analysis. We are convinced about what we study on the ground. But people would say, what else would the opposition people say? But if we got people who are not politicians who would go down and do analysis, I think that's what would bring out the picture of what is happening in this country. Because I can tell you, the moment you go to most of these areas, even where you find movement, MPs all over the country, the levels of discontent. You go to an area and even after a by-election, you'll find that people are so aggrieved. So it's really dependent on issues of justice. How do people feel? Are people able to access justice? Are people able to access services accruing out of the taxes they pay? If not, and then you find that there is like autocratic regimes, which normally use fear and also money as an impact. That's another thing that needs to be studied. Because you find people who are so desperate for money, but are not linking the question of the money they received on just one day, and they make a decision which is going to impact on their lives for the next maybe round of 5 years or so. These are issues that need to be investigated. And for us, we do that. And we've reached a conclusion that, you know what, you cannot give excuses. We recognize the state of desperation the population is in. We also even actually understand the state of desperation which the elite, the educated are in. I mean, you see now many people who are surrendering and going to the movement. Every other time you see people who would have been leaders in the opposition, they reach a point and say, this is a dead end. And then they flee and they join the movement. But we know that that is not sustainable. And that's why, in our own estimation, we have to keep organizing and building capacity, however dark the situation might seem to be. These are realities down there, you know. Why you find that even people who are supposed to be leaders, that they give someone 20,000 shillings, and they can sell out the person they would have been supporting. regardless of whether it was members of parliament or LC5 or LC3. How desperate the situation may seem, you know. So hopefully there'll be some press houses who can commission research down there, and then you would feed your outcome to the country. You know, look at when I was just talked about Karamoja. Karamoja has consistently been one area that has fully supported the movement, for whatever reason. Now you go down on the ground and find out the conditions of the Karamojong people. Interpret that. You as journalists, you interpret that. An area which has fully supported the movement, 90% plus, for how many years? 30 plus. But look at the situation down there. And are there responses? Let's keep watching, keep watching. 7 ministers who robbed the Karamojong people of even the little things that were supposed to be sent to them out of their taxes, like hardships. The issue to me, even on you as journalists. So when you are saying that we should do things, I entirely agree with you. That we who want to see change in this country must recognize that the state of hopelessness is frightening. It's not only the peasants who are giving up, also the educated are giving up. That there must be people who simply can't give up in spite of all that is happening. And keep rallying people who are steadfast until that change is realized. It's a tough thing. We recognize that ourselves. Actually, when you engage in all these directions, like some of us are engaging, even the general election, everybody's on his own, let everybody take care of themselves. It is quite tempting. But as individuals, you can't be an island. So until society reaches a point where there is sanity, even an individual can't, you know, even those who give up, but they go into their houses and they become hermits. You can't. You drive on roads, maybe you get a person, your relative who gets sick, you are going to pay, you have kids take school, you know, you go to court, they may steal your properties, you go to court, you have to bribe in the police if you are going to have any success with case. Courts themselves have been compromised. You go to an MP, MP has nothing that they can help you out. That's the state of things that kind of things that we are in. So yes, we will keep organizing. That's the only response. And we'll keep on reaching out to other political parties that also think alike. Change always happens. It will happen. Even here it will happen. Our only care and concern in the NT is that we must influence that change so that it is positive. I just referred to Haiti. Haiti has been more than 200 years. The problem in Haiti, the leaders, literally the middle class, the political elite, became crooks. And the population became so desperate that they also gave up. So Haiti, everybody is on his own, literally. And we have to do everything humanly possible to avoid a situation of that nature. You know, that's why we keep in politics, in spite of the kind of hopelessness that is prevailing all over the place. Keep watching those 7 ministers everybody's talking about on radio, on TV, within 2 weeks, maybe that will have passed. And you may not hear any resignation, you may not hear the president firing any of those ministers. How will he even fire them? Because they are all trapped. Because you're only aware of the anarchists, but I can tell you on a daily basis, they are stealing one thing or the other in all those ministries. So the anarchists is exciting because they are physical and the broken story and frightening in a sense, because if you get 7 ministers caught up, you even see the responses they make on how the anarchists reach wherever they reach. That's the nature of our country now, where we are. What is frightening is that there may be no action in spite of all the noise which is being made.
The second question?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
The wind is so strong here, we have to move.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Fahad Muganga. I work with Uganda Radio Network. General, when you're going for these elections, you said you will not give up despite of what you expect from the elections. But don't you think that you are remaining in this alone? You are the one who has hope, but the people in there are actually hopeless and they also don't expect nothing from
The population.
Yes. And maybe I know you might have read about this somewhere, or you might have heard about it, about MPs who are requesting their parties to get into negotiations with the government so that they can make a change somewhere. What could be your reaction? What are you saying on this? Are you planning like what they are saying? What would be your
They are
response
asking for negotiation.
with the government?
Not hard.
Okay.
It's in the press.
Yes.
It's in the newspaper.
Yes. The MPs that are asking their parties that, you know, I think we've lost this war. And recently, Dr. Kizza Besigye also said that some of his members are saying, look, we've lost this. I think we should get into negotiations with the government. What could be your response on that?
Let me tell you, people who change countries are never many. You can read history.
Yeah.
And I'm not one person here. We are many in this country. So why we keep reaching out is to get bold, honest men and women in critical positions of responsibility, and they can turn around the country. That's why we cannot give up. Yeah, we won't. I can guarantee you that. It's simply we can't. Because we know the consequences of giving up.
Somalia.
Chaos. We can't let crooks hold this country hostage and then achieve what they want. Because what they want is for everybody to give up. That's the whole intention. When you are fighting, you do the opposite of what the enemy wants you to do. So if the intention is them, even here in Uganda, so our simple duty is keep reaching out to them until change happens. The only difference is that for us in NT, we're not just looking for just change, because that change is inevitable. It will happen. Even if we sat and did nothing, internal dynamics within autocratic regimes keep building until just after any change. We have to qualitative change. That's why we all the time keep working and sending out that message. So that when change happens, it should be positive. You know, change will happen. It's inevitable. Now, the issue of I don't know that you had heard about it. Yeah? I hadn't heard about the call for
Negotiations.
negotiations.
Okay.
From my understanding, effectively in this side, even in business, there must be an understanding on the other side that if they don't do what you want them to do, something will happen. If you have no leverage and you engage in negotiations, you're highly vulnerable. Why? Because it means you are depending on the goodwill of the other person across the table, the good faith or the goodwill of the other side. Now, if they have no goodwill, you are highly vulnerable because there's what you have. You're going like into a slaughterhouse. We have to keep building. We have to keep building, we as the opposition. So that even when we reach a point of any discussions, at whatever point it would be, who are going to have 7 ministers still anxious and nothing happens, and then you go into a political negotiation, what will you get out of that? Unless you go to be incorporated. Because that's what the regime wants. To create desperation to a point where people say, you know what, there's nothing else we can do. Let's negotiate. And of course, in the course of negotiations, for them, it is not like they want to change the trend of things. Their point is, the moment you cause desperation and hopelessness in people, they reach a point where they will know that there's nothing they can do. The only option they have is to come on the private trade, and then everybody is happy. But things don't work that way. Because I can tell you, we all, as we are all leaders in the opposition, even if we got on the private, want jobs. So even if all of us went on the Greve train and there are no jobs, do you think the problem would have been resolved? And then you engage in negotiations and you don't have any leverage. How will you get out of all that? Learning and also understand the nature of it. So we have to keep building at every opportunity that there is, because we know there are Ugandans there who want qualitative change. It may be a slow process, but inevitably we'll have to keep at that. We are better than what we see. We are better.